all of the things that cadets love to do, the CAP orientation flights, the obstacle courses, the military O rides, everything that the cadets love. So this is the first thing that I want to get your thoughts on. Colonel Ryu, go ahead and open the mics up, because this is what I want to understand is what resources do you and your local units have that might be appropriate for this kind of environment? What things do your units have to offer that you could think to yourself, hey, I think cadets from around the wing would really love to do X? So I'll get us started off. Of course, we're aware of the facilities at Gunpowder that we use nearly every year. First question, is it a COVID idea or in general? Really in general, anything that we can do that is potentially 25 members or fewer with appropriate social distancing that would qualify as, let's just call it a big name event. I don't want to say high adventure activity because that's really repelling in the obstacle course, but big name events like military orientation rides. I know cadets get a huge kick out of things like that. And I want to get an idea of what resources we have around the wing and around our local region to go ahead and do stuff like this. So starting us off, down here at St. Mary's, we have the Patuxent River Naval Air Station. They have a manned flight simulator. They have the U.S. Naval Test Pilot School. They have something of an obstacle course that you can run. So we've definitely got resources. And of course, we have the United States Naval Air Museum, which is the only museum in the country with both an X-32 and an X-35, the competitors in the Joint Strike Fighter contract. The aircraft, the X-35, eventually became the F-35, of course. So those are some of the resources in St. Mary's County. So what do you think would be some good ideas from your local units that would be some good ideas for big title events? You can feel free to unmute yourselves, or you can just use the text chat. It's entirely up to you. For those of you cadets in the chat, why don't you think about something fun that you've done in the last in the last year or two, over the course of your cadet career, that you think was a big thing, a big deal. A-10 simulators, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, this is I don't want you to worry about speaking for somebody because this is just a brainstorming session. We're not gonna shoot anybody down. We're not gonna say, oh no, my unit has ownership over that. We're just throwing ideas out there. National Guard Armory, it's good stuff. All right, fantastic. Good place to host things. Warrior Challenge, you're thinking some of the obstacle courses at Gunpowder, or perhaps the rappelling wall, which we didn't get this past time, but we might have an opportunity to get in the future. Or perhaps the rappelling tower at Camp Frederick. Virtual weapons range, something like that. Very good. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I wouldn't be opposed, considering the small groups that we have, especially if we were 25 or less or 50 or less, we might have the opportunity to do actual live fire at target ranges. So that's another possibility. If somebody has an indoor range readily available to them, nearby, that might be a possibility. Okay, so I'll throw out another off-the-wall idea. I'm pretty sure we can get approval to do this. Indoor skydiving. Is that crazy enough for you? How about that? Indoor skydiving. I know there's a place in Baltimore that we could get folks signed up. Outdoor range. Okay, got it. So these last bunch of years, we've done military O rides at usually out of Camp Frederick, and we just have Blackhawks and Chinooks fly in to really the baseball diamond there and fly our cadets out of there. But think just a little bigger. We've got Air Force One, right there at Andrews. I mean that's just a stone's throw. So we could go there. Potentially, if we had the right contacts, maybe we could get military O rides out of Andrews, not on Air Force One, of course, unless they were feeling particularly generous. But that's an idea. That's something that we could do. Okay, I see White Marsh has indoor skydiving. Okay, very good. Yeah, that brings something else to mind. Planes and tanks. Oh, where is that? One of the other places that we've hosted encampments these past couple of years. Aberdeen Proving Grounds. Good deal. Anybody else? Gotcha. Okay. So I do want to ask. Yeah, that's what I was thinking regarding indoor skydiving. A little pricey, but I was thinking, if we went through the appropriate channels, maybe that's a possibility. But that's the thing about encampments. We're usually charging $200 for an encampment. Well, consider for a moment that 200 or thereabouts. I think in previous years it might have been closer to 120. But consider for a moment that usually goes almost entirely to food. Now we have an ability to spend elsewhere. Yeah, exactly, Lieutenant Higgins. We can put that towards something else. So people are talking about ammo's pricey, indoor skydiving is pricey. I think these are problems we can get past. I really do. If we had $100 to spend per cadet per day over the course of a 3-day course, it's less efficient, but it gives us the opportunity to do a lot more stuff. A lot more stuff that people would really form memories around. So that's what I'm trying to ignite here is what are some really big things that people could do. So thinking about what are some big things people could do for a hybrid encampment, both virtual and in person. And by the way, I want to throw out there, don't assume that I know that I know the state particularly well. You know, if you're holding on to an idea right now because you think, oh, well, Major Trick's already thought of that, oh, that one's obvious. That's not the case. I know Group 3 pretty well, and then really only Group 3 south of the Thomas Johnson Bridge, and really only Group 3 if it's on 235 between Hollywood Firehouse and Gate 2 of Patuxent River Naval Air Station. So don't assume that I know what idea you might have in your head. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. So throw out anything that you might have, any big ideas. Also looking for facilities, not just let's go shooting, let's go flying. Looking for specific facilities. So if you think of one, please toss it out there. Okay, Pennsylvania's good. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, Pennsylvania would give some additional opportunities to go rappelling in a proper, really in a, I don't want to say a proper rappelling environment, but it's certainly I would say, more high adventure one, using actual cliffs, whereas I only ever have had experience rappelling from a tower. So that'd be a little different. That'd be kind of fun. Issue when it comes to jurisdiction, not really. We can of course work inter-region coordination, and I don't anticipate we would have much issue if we said, hey, we want to bring 50 cadets, or even if it's down to 25. Don't anticipate any issues there. All right. So while you continue to think about the hybrid encampment idea, let me throw something else at you. Last session with Cadet Ryu, we were talking a lot about cyber. We talked about Cyber Start, Cyber Patriot, the various academies that we've hosted, the possibility of creating a cyber squidder, and even a virtual training environment. And yes, definitely want to hold more than one in-person section. I would say the idea would be to hold the virtual session really once, maybe twice in a year, and then we would have these distributed sessions all around the wing. That would be my concept for this. That way we don't have 8 groups going through a single location. It would be more along the lines of having 8 groups at distributed locations throughout the wing, and perhaps even multiple sessions per location. So we would have a St. Mary's contingent, a Cumberland contingent, a Baltimore contingent, and they would just do things in and around their local area. But what I'm trying to identify here is definitely the kinds of activities that we have available to us. In and around Baltimore, we've got Fredard and gunpowder. We've got the obstacle courses, we've got the rappel towers, but I really want to know what would be good to do in your neck of the woods. That's really what I want to get here. Lieutenant Higgins, what do you mean by cross section?
Say, for example, when I do different training, I belong in Group A. Like, just to break it out, let's say St. Mary's has 3 cool things that I would want to do, and then Baltimore has 3 things, and then The northern folks, we have 3 things. So I've got 9 for my total schedule.
Mhm.
I realize for some folks may not want to drive, but the idea is if one cadet really, really wants to do something in St. Mary's, but they really don't want to do, the rest of the stuff, would it be too taxing to have that cadet, for example, just bounce around to whoever's got stuff going on and kind of check those encampment boxes? Does that make sense?
That does make sense. I think it would depend entirely on how many sessions we have and how many, or excuse me, I guess how many areas we have, and then how many sessions per area. For example, if we had 8 areas, so we do the virtual course, and then we say, okay, now go to one of these 8 areas to complete your encampment credit, and we do that over the span of 2 weeks, then that kind of limits that possibility, especially if all 8 did it at the same time. On the other hand, if we say had 2 sessions per area, or at least had certain areas with 2 sessions, say gunpowder, for example, which would be a popular choice, I'm sure. If we had something in June, something in July, something in August, then there would certainly be that possibility where somebody could bounce around between areas that have more than one session. Does that make sense? Okay. So like I said, while you're thinking about the hybrid encampment idea, I definitely also want to pitch this out there for you guys to chew on. Cyber. How can we expand cyber within Maryland Wing? I really liked Colonel Ryu's presentation. He talked about, he made a comparison between California Wing and Maryland Wing, which I love. I love throwing down the gauntlet like that. I really want to see. I love setting the standard at that high level because everybody knows California as being the tech hub really of the world, and I love the idea that, hey, we'll just outwork them. We're gonna be more motivated. Of course, no offense to any visitors we might have from California. I certainly respect the program there, but I also love competition. So what are some ideas we might have in the group to build out a cybersecurity or a programming squitter? Really have a proper program that doesn't depend on seasons to work from the ground up. That's something else I want to get your thoughts on today. So one of the things I have in my slide there is the possibility of a virtual cyber range. For those of you who weren't in the last session, this would be a server that is effectively whose cloud space is donated to us, if you will. And on that server will be several images very similar to what cadets might expect in Cyber Patriot. And the huge benefit of this is now our cadets don't have that initial cost of investment for participating in Cyber Patriot. They don't have to get a high-end or even a mid-range computer to participate in Cyber Patriot. Now all they need is the ability to access a web browser, and they can log into a Cyber Patriot image and train. And ideally, that will be set up in such a way that they can train year-round. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's on season or off season. That those images will be open 24/7. Now, again, I emphasize that this is in its very earliest stages of development. I certainly hope to have it out to the wider wing in the next couple of months. If you're interested in being a beta tester, you can let me know in the chat because this is something that we're certainly going to push for. Lieutenant Higgins, I saw that you had your mic off mute. Did you have something, or did the moment pass?
One of the things that I think really came out of Cadet Ryu's presentation was communication. Like, in the forefront of my mind, one of the things we really struggled with was building, like literally building our program from the ground up. And as you're aware, we didn't really know that you guys existed. You know, through accommodative errors, we found each other, and that's great. But I wonder how many other squadrons are experiencing that situation. And I just want to pause and say that you've been absolutely phenomenal with trying to coordinate and get everybody communicating. So I'm not trying to minimize that, but I know what we went through, and I'm just kind of curious if anyone else has that problem. And then I met with, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but there was one of the squadrons at the Warrior Day, and she mentioned that they don't have anybody who knows anything about computers. So while they may be interested, how do they sell the program if they themselves are not familiar with a computer in general?
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought up something good in the last session, and I want to try to launch that idea, is doing regular regular cyber meetups, if you will. That was a good idea. It's certainly something I want to try, and I really do believe that roundtables like this, this is where the work gets done. I mean, this is where big ideas happen. And I really like the idea of roundtable discussions, precisely because that is exactly how you identify the things that you mentioned, Lieutenant Higgins. People who have capabilities that perhaps others don't have, to identify folks who are struggling. And I haven't really said this in my presentations yet, but I do want to take the opportunity to drive this point home, that I, as the Maryland Wing Director of Cadet Programs, want to assure everybody listening to me right now that you have an open door with me. I want to serve as a resource. I want to serve as your resource at Wing headquarters for any issues that you might have with cadet programs. So please do let me know. It's something that I've only had the opportunity to actually go ahead and do with a couple of squadrons who've reached out to me already. And it's been great opportunities. And really, it starts with very simple stuff. I mean, I've been doing guest presentations, really all over the wing. I did one for Charles. I did one for Hartford. I actually did one in Pennsylvania wing a couple of weeks ago. Just something that I could do to help to help fill in. So absolutely, I want to be a resource for you guys, and I definitely want all of you, as those of you at the unit level, to collaborate, because I know that there are resources out there that I'm unaware of, and that you all are unaware of, that can definitely help build us into a stronger wing. So I'll hop down off my soapbox there, but I did want to really drive that home. Hey, fantastic, Lieutenant Nye. I really appreciate that. You know, one of the ideas I didn't really pitch earlier, but it comes to me as y'all are offering ideas and assistance here. One of the big team building activities in CAP is really operating on a ground team. So if any of y'all have particularly good ground team practice areas, if you will, throw those in the chat as well, because those are great opportunities. You know, I know at St. Mary's we are kind of limited. We have a couple state parks I can think of, but they're fairly small, but still certainly workable. Hey, there you go. Ground team training opportunity with Hartford if any of y'all are in the area and interested. Anybody know the name of the NASA facility that's nearby? Goddard, right? NASA Goddard. Yes, that one. Thank you, Lieutenant Higgins. Yeah, that'd be good for a training day in AE, certainly. I know that we've hosted a couple of AEO schools at that facility, so I think that would be fantastic. Okay, well, I definitely want to get y'all talking, so I'm going to start going around the table here and just asking people what were some of the big highlights of your cadet career, and specifically, and yeah, I'm going to be looking to the cadets for this, but yeah, big highlights of your cadet career. What have you done that was a lot of fun? And it doesn't have to be within the state of Maryland. It can be anywhere in the nation. I'm just looking for springboards, something that might spark something to life in someone else. So, Colonel Ryu, I hope you don't mind if I put the spotlight on you first, but give me some highlights of your cadet career.
Definitely the UAS for STEM national competition or the Cyber Patriot competitions. Lots of fun to compete with friends and work towards something together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's something I should have mentioned. The National UAS for STEM competition, which I mentioned in my previous presentation, is out in Muncie, Indiana. That is a solid drive. I think it is a 10-hour drive on paper. St. Mary's made it in 14, I think, one year, and I think 12 the other year. We've been out there 4 times. So, well, anyway, it's a long drive, but on the way to that event is the National Museum of the United States Air Force. That was a drive, but we made it, and that was a fantastic event. Not only the UAS event, which was great, plenty of opportunity to fly and learn and go to their museum, but of course on the way back we had to stop over in Dayton, Ohio, and go to the National Museum of the United States Air Force. And if y'all have never been there, I cannot recommend it more strongly. If you like airplanes, if you like aviation, you have to go to the National Museum of the United States Air Force. They've got a B-36 and a B-52 inside, the B-52 up on stilts so you can walk underneath it, look up into the bomb bay. It's a fantastic museum. So not opposed to ideas like that, you know, especially after we get outside of the social distancing stuff. It definitely opens up travel a bit more. Could you speak a little more to that, Lieutenant Higgins?
So because of my job, you reminded me with the Goddard thing. I actually have a friend there, so I may have means to get in there. But if you need a space for ground team training that is pretty central, I can have the reservoir opened up, and that's literally water. But it's a lot of trails, hiking. It's active horse trails, so it's not like, you know, swamp water or anything like that. So centrally located for everybody, that may be a space that we can use for ground team training. So if you look on a map and you look, you know, the diamond that is the District of Columbia, if you look, I'm going to say north and to the east, there's basically a watershed that runs along the top of the DC diamond, if you will. My organization owns that property, so I could effectively have it opened up to us to get some sort of stuff done.
That would be fantastic. Thank you so much. Yes, these are the kinds of ideas I want to spark. These are the kinds of ideas I want people to come forward with. And Captain Ralph, C-130 flight out to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, that's a big one. Stuff like this. Come on, guys. More stuff like this. I like that idea a lot. We might even be able to get that done with social. Yeah, that's right. How do I sign up to be a cadet? Absolutely. These are the kinds of things we could get done under social distancing. I mean, you know, you can fit a lot of cadets in a C-130 under normal circumstances. I would imagine we can fit plenty in with even under social distancing. So that's a nice idea. I'm gonna see what we can do about that. And absolutely, the large areas where we can do ground team training, you know, these would be fantastic. I mean, we don't do that much in the way of extensive ground team training during encampment, but consider for a moment that an encampment like the one I'm suggesting, where it's part in person and part virtual, that certainly gives us the opportunity to do something like that, to turn an encampment into, you know, a single day of encampment into something like National Ground Search and Rescue School. You know, so this gives us we've got a lot of room to maneuver here, guys. So anything you got, throw it out there. Similarly, we could integrate the encampment environment with the cyber environment, throwing back to the last session's presentation, and really dig in with some of the cyber stuff, and with a captive audience, no less. You know, with a group that would potentially not explore it on their own, but perhaps we can find something about cyber that that a cadet would not have previously considered, and really get them interested in it. You know, that's one of the opportunities that we'd have in an environment like this. So, Sergeant Fida, what are some highlights of your cadet career? What have you done so far that you've really enjoyed? Okay, that's all right. We'll come back to you. Lieutenant Lang, if you're up on comms, what have been some highlights, some of the things that you've done during your career working with cadets that you would say are highlights?
Well, I certainly was never a cadet, as you know. Can you hear me okay? Or do I sound like Mickey Mouse?
Nope, you're okay.
Okay, I've been accused of that on this line for some reason. I would say encampment for me was fantastic.
Right.
Because I came to the party of CAP late, as some people know. Some of you aren't that familiar with my history of Civil Air Patrol. I didn't join Civil Air Patrol until after I retired a few times. But going to encampment first as a what do you call it, training officer the first year, and was with Major Trick at that. And then for the second year I was the safety officer. And encampment I found to be very, very exciting. For me, as being new to CAP and just working with the cadets under that kind of a situation. And then Honor Guard Academy, helping out there when I attended the Honor Guard Academy a couple of years. So for me, the actual working with the cadets in an environment other than in their squadron, I found to be the most enjoyable.
Absolutely. Go ahead, sir.
I was just going to say over.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. You know, I think encampment is one of those experiences that changes a cadet forever. I mean, I still remember my basic year at encampment, remember my chain of command from that encampment. And it is certainly a highlight because you are with 200 like-minded friends for a week. And that is, of course, you know, exactly what we're going to go ahead and try and capture if we need to do a hybrid encampment, you know, do half virtual, half in person. So we've got to do that. We've got to capture that same camaraderie, that same team building. And I think there's a lot of opportunity since I see the chat talking about ground team training. There's a lot of opportunity to build teamwork on a ground team. So I think that's certainly something to look into is how we can best make use of facilities around the wing. All right. If there are no further questions or comments, Colonel Ryu, I think I'm ready to close it out. If you'd like to provide the link to the survey, we'll have everybody fill that out, and I'll give you an extra 5 minutes on your break. Colonel Ryu, do you have that readily available?
I do have it readily available, and I just put it into the chat for everybody to have, so please do your survey. If you have not already, again, please post your name, ID number, and squadron, your unit you're coming from, in the chat, and that way we have a record of it. We can make sure that you get full credit for attending the wing level conference. I found this conversation enlightening to hear of some of the other resources that are available within Maryland. And I think the I think the concept of a hybrid encampment has a lot of merit, because there are elements of it that are good for or convenient to or fit well into the distance type of construct, where, you know, it's okay if you do some of the academic type stuff just online, but there is no substitute for some of the in-person physical activities that we do. So trying to find some way to you know, chop that week up into smaller chunks and to organize and document it so that people can track and make sure that they get all of the experience that we're trying to impart upon them is a great idea. So thank you, Major Trick, for hosting this roundtable and for spurring the conversation, and thank you to our participants as well for taking your time to join us. Thank you for participating in the conversation and for getting some great ideas out there and for reaching out. I will pause for just a moment to allow for any last-minute questions or comments. All right, nothing heard. Thank you for joining us at our Maryland Wing Conference, and I look forward to seeing and working with each of you soon.